England against Argentina, folks, this Sunday, Autumn Nation Series. We're going to go through the squads, which have just been named in the last 24 hours. Some stats, the recent results between the sides and predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I should say, if you want England rugby gear, check out England Rugby Store down in the description. They were doing 20% off some of their gear, plus free shipping on orders over £39, and pretty much everything costs over £39. So, yeah, check it out if you want England rugby gear. England have had the wood over Argentina in recent times. Of all the games this weekend, I think this is, apart from maybe Wales and the All Blacks, one of the most lopsided ones we've had in recent years. The last five, it's 5-zip. England winning them all with an average score of 32-18. So pretty comfortable winners. England tend to be over Argentina in recent times. Most recent one, though, is a few years ago, back at the World Cup, 39 points to 10. England walked away pretty comfortable winners. If I remember rightly, that was a Lavanini red card game. 21-8, 35-25. Some of the other recent results, 38-34. The most competitive one back in 2017 over in Argentina. But yeah, England tend to get the job done over the Argentinians. They have named a pretty different squad from the one that played in Australia. The third test in Australia is the most recent game for England. Remember, England didn't take some of their guys on tour, and there were some guys who pulled out of that tour injured. But looking at this England squad, it's looking like a pretty strong one with some of the big names kind of back in the lineup. Genge, Cowan-Dickie and Sinclair is the front row. So I think Genge started in that last game against the Wallabies. Cowan-Dickie was on the bench and Sinclair didn't play. So yeah, it's kind of a different front row. But I think if you're an England fan, you'd be pretty happy with that. Obviously, Jamie George not available. Alex Coles is going to get his first cap from the second row, so congratulations to them. He's a big man, he's 2 meters plus, so big human being alongside Johnny Hill, who's also a rather large human being. You may be asking, where's Maro? Well, that was my first question when I saw the second row, but he's still there. He's in the number 6 jersey, and I know a lot of fans don't like Maro in the number 6 jersey. He certainly brings a different game from some of the other guys who play 6, but I guess like Courtney Laws, he can be that big defensive powerhouse and very disruptive at line-out time, plus another line-out option, and then he's very, very clinical at the breakdown, isn't he? So I don't mind Maro, man. At 6 or in the second row, I still think he's going to do a job. Tom Curry's at 7, and Billy V is at 8. So I think, I mean, a lot of teams have got good back rows, but that's a pretty tidy one. You know, it'd give a lot of teams a lot of problems. I mean, breakdown is a big threat with both Maro and Tom Curry there, and then Billy V's being in cracking form for Sarri's ball in hand. So what's not to like? Ben Youngs and Marcus Smith is the 9-10 combo. So Van Portfleet, who had a really good kind of bench appearance in that third test over in Australia, is still keeping that bench role. It's not done enough to kind of promote him to the starting lineup. So yeah, Marcus Smith and Ben Youngs, that's a changed one from what we saw in Australia. But the Marcus Smith 10, Farrell 12 combo continues on because Farrell's still there. He's captain. He had a kind of injury woe, didn't he, a few weeks ago, but it's good to see him back fit. And then speaking of back fit, Manu Tuilagi is going to play for England. It feels like I've seen that guy named in countless England squads and whatnot in recent times, and he always pulls out with some kind of injury from the camp. Not this time. He's named in the 13 jersey. How much better does England look when they've got a big ball-carrying option in the midfield? I feel like it's been a shortcoming of England in recent times. But Big Manu, happy days. And then Big Manu's got Big Joe on the left wing as well. So Joe Thokonasinga's there on the left wing. Yeah, man, that's some big ball-carrying. Jack Knowles known to like a big ball carrier himself. And then Freddie Stewart, the bomb diffuser at the back. So, yeah, I think that's I think it's a pretty tidy looking England squad. What can I say? I like it. Singleton is on the bench alongside Vunipola and Hayes as the front row replacements. Dave Ribbons, Sam Simmons, Jack Willis. So only the two backs being Van Portfleet and Henry Slade. I guess, Henry Slade's pretty versatile. He can cover lots of positions, as can some of the other guys too. And then like Sam Simmons is quick enough that you could probably chuck him in the back line in a pinch as well. But yeah, it's obviously one where Eddie thinks The forward battle is going to be important. For the Argentinians, they still finished last in the Rugby Championship, but they managed to beat the All Blacks away from home for the first time ever, and only for the second time in their history. So you'd be a fool to kind of write off this Argentinian side, despite their kind of poor recent record against the English. Gajo, Montoya and Cordella is the front row. If you haven't seen Thomas Gajo playing, you're in for a treat, because he is a phenomenal ball-carrying loose-head prop. He's just like a ball of energy, and he loves a carry. He loves a dig from a few meters out. So, yeah, watch out for that guy. I think for a while he had more defenders beaten than any of the Argentinian players in the Rugby Championship. I can't remember if he finished the Argentinian top player, but he's really up there. He's something a bit special. Only a very young man as well. And then Cordella is, scrummaging specialist, kind of at the opposite end of the experience scale. And you guys in England will all know about Montoya from his games in the Premiership. Alemano and Lavanini is the second row. There's no Petty in the second row this week, so that's a different option. But Alemano, as you guys in the Premiership will know, has been a pretty good operator, and then Lavanini is a big unit. Believe it or not, his discipline's been really good in the last few games for Argentina. So he did cop, I think, one yellow card in the Rugby Championship, but it was a team one where it's just the next guy who concedes the penalty is going to cop it for the team, and it just so happened that it was Lavanini. So, when he's keeping his discipline good, he's a big human being as well. So, fingers crossed he keeps that kind of record up. Juan Martin Gonzalez, Marcos Crema, and Pablo Matera are the back row. Interestingly, of those three names, Juan Martin Gonzalez is probably the least well-known worldwide, but he was probably their best performer in the Rugby Championship, just getting all kinds of runs and tackles and grabbing restarts, and very, very athletic. I mean, kind of reminds me of Theo McFarlane from Samoa, right? And Saracens, just really, really athletic loose forward who can get himself into all kinds of business. Crema's another big unit of a man, and Matera won Super Rugby with the Crusaders here recently, so he's doing all right for himself. Bertrand Carreras is the 9-10 combo. Carreras wasn't taking the ball to the line that much compared to his initial career as a 10, but we'll see if he kind of backs himself to find some space against England. De La Fuente and Moroni is an experienced midfield, and then Carreras, Boffelli, and Malia are the back three. It's good to see Mateo Carreras' inclusion, because he's been absolutely almost unplayable for Newcastle in the Premiership, getting the highlight reel line breaks and tries and try assists and whatnot. So, let's hope he can carry that form over into his national colours. Boffelli has been kicking the goals as well for Argentina, and he's been doing a pretty good job of it this year. Ruiz, Chaparro, and Bejo are the front row replacements. Lucas Paulos is getting the game, the big second rower. Issa is there as well. He's another big unit. We've got this guy, Alicio Morales, who's going to get his first cap for Argentina as a scrum half if he comes off the bench. I think Kubeli, unfortunately, is injured, so they're testing a bit of their depth at number 9 at the moment, the Argentinians. Albornoz and Orlando are the other two back replacements, so it's a more regular 5-3 split for the Argentinian guys. Now, stats-wise, it's an interesting one, because England, not quite as much as South Africa, but England are a team who loves a maul. They're more than 6 times a game, which is more than most teams. Most teams are like 3 or 4. And that could spell trouble for Argentina, because if my maths were right, Argentina conceded about a quarter of their tries this year from the maul. Admittedly, they conceded a few against South Africa, and they conceded at least a couple against Australia as well. So, if England can get their maul going from close range, that may be an area where they can get on top. Both sides also very capable of winning from the boot. We saw Argentina do it down here in New Zealand, where they, Boffelli's boot kept the scoreboard ticking over, and they managed to just take the game away from New Zealand, and then England did the same thing to Australia. So they don't necessarily have to win these games from tries. Both sides are happy to keep the scoreboard just ticking over. One area that Argentina is tighter than England, which is kind of tough because most of the areas statistically England seem to have the wood over the Argentinians, is their clean breaks conceded. England are a little high on getting their line broken compared to the other teams. Like France, for comparison, concede just over 2. They're the best in the business. Argentina's like 3.5. And then England's like just over 4. So, yeah, England is like the worst team. Like Italy is like 6. Australia is like 5. So, yeah, that's one area where Argentina have proved themselves to be a bit harder to break down. It's not necessarily a catastrophic collapse when they're conceding tries. It's more likely a maul that's going to do them in. So, yeah, we'll kind of have to see if that's going to mean anything come the weekend. I mentioned the recent results already have always gone pretty much in England's favour. Last win for Argentina over England, if I'm not mistaken, is back in 2009. So quite some time ago. And the last win over England in England, 2006. So it'd be... Is that quite history making if it's that long? It's a long time, man, since Argentina have managed to get a win. But they'd never beaten New Zealand in New Zealand until a few months ago. So there you go. Predictions-wise, it's England by 14 with the bookies and England by 15 with the rugby forecast algorithm. So predicted to get the job done. It is at Twickenham. It's a afternoon game, which I think is the middle of the morning for me here at NZ, which is not ideal. Might have to wake up or potentially watch it delayed. But yeah, Andrew Brace is the ref. Hopefully he has a good game. We don't get too many stoppages for TMO checks and whatnot. But anyway, you guys let us know what you reckon. England are going to be too good and continue their record over the Argentinians, or Argentina to break their long drought against England. You guys let us know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.